Hey, this is Dan, and in this video I'm going to be turning this big pine blank, hopefully into 1 or 2 bowls. And so this will be the process, so come take a look. So, get my face mask on here. I already have the corners cut off. I did that with a chainsaw. I just took a compass to it, drew a circle, cut the corners off, and then drilled a hole in the center point. And then I'm just using the worm screw. Gotta turn the lathe on. All right, I'm using the worm screw on the chuck. Have the 9-inch jaws on. Biggest jaws they make. Doing a big blank, makes sense to do that. Get it pretty close to tight when I start feeling a little friction, and then I just use the knee brake that comes on the Vicmark lathe to stop it there. Just getting it tightened up. Taking all the slop or potential wiggle out of it. Moving the tool rests. Make sure that's got enough clearance. Oh, not there. Let's see. How are we doing here? There, maybe that'll be a little better view from that side. Oh. Come back a little ways. All right, all good there. We will bring in the tool rest. Get it good and tight. Start at a low speed. I might want to switch to a lower gear here. Slower pulley configuration, but let's just start here and see how we do. I'm not likely to be taking monster cuts, so the higher torque won't necessarily be necessary. Alright, spinning pretty well there. It's about as fast as I want to take this thing before I've taken anything off of it. This is a 7/8 bowl gouge. I like to think of it as a bowl roughing gouge. Different than a spindle roughing gouge, but the idea being that not that I necessarily want to take bigger cuts or, 7/8 or 1-inch cuts, but more that a little bit of extra mass will help reduce the vibration impact when I'm doing a big rough blank like this, where, this is just pine, but in a bigger piece, I'm likely to hit the corners pretty hard each time they come around, given the air gap. So I like having a little extra mass to absorb and dampen that. And also, just sometimes it's kind of fun to just have an oversized gouge for some reason. So, just checking that, getting decent cuts. Alright, maybe do one more before checking again. Oof. It's fighting me a little bit. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty close to round. Probably have about another ½ inch to go, inch to a ½ inch. So I'll just do that, and then I'll work on forming a foot, and then we'll get around to the other side of it. This pine has been sitting in my wood pile a little too long. Just gonna crank the speed here. So it's pretty punky, has some cracks. I never got around to sealing it. Anyway, so it's a little punky and funky, and of course it's already pine. So that's going to make it pretty tough actually to get a good finish on it. It's also still sappy enough that I won't be able to sand it heavily, so I might end up with a more rustic finish on it, but we'll see how we do. It's a good skills test for getting good clean cuts. Alright, so it's now nice and round now. I'm just going to take it down, get a nice tenon on it. I'm just doing a push cut basically into the bottom of the bowl. I'm really going to be having to focus on cutting all the grain as side grain, you know, coming into it from the side on this piece, because it is pine and it is punky, so it's going to be super easy for me to tear grain. So I'm just coming in, using that big wing of the 7/8 gouge. Take some cuts off here. Let's see, that'll fit the tenon. It's going to take the top down so it's a little smoother. This cut really doesn't matter at all. It's not going to be deep enough in the tenon to matter, but at least get a prettier look at it. Alright, alright, so it's kind of thin here, the tenon depth, so I got to take about another 1/4 to a ½ inch off of it. Okay. That should be pretty good on tenon size. I just want to put a dovetail on there. Just go with this spindle gouge. It's easy enough. Move it in a little bit just because this piece is so big. Alright. I just figure the angle that I want, and then basically just drop the handle, or I'm sorry, raise the handle, drops the nose, and then just pushing from the side, and that creates a clean little recess, a sharp corner, a clean recess for the dovetail to go in. I'm just going to do a little scrape, chamfer the top shoulder, or I guess bottom shoulder of the tenon there, so we have a nice crisp tenon. Alright, and then we're actually going to be swinging the lathe around, or I'm sorry, the piece onto the other side of the lathe. I like to turn outboard when I can, so just bear with me for a sec while I get the camera moved around. On here, I usually just put it in reverse, turn the speed all the way down. Just put it in reverse so I can put both hands up to hold the blank. Comes right off. Knee brake shuts it off. I do like the knee brake on this lathe, I will say. Yeah. Alright. Get this switched back around. Alright, so I got everything swung around and set up on this side. Just take the worm screw out. And then I will get it on its tenon. There we go. That's probably a better view. Whoops. Okay. And now I think I'm going to core this. I could, in theory, get 3 cores out of it, but there's so many splits near the top. A lot of that wood's probably not going to be usable. So I'm just going to do 1 medium bowl out of it, and then 1 large bowl out of this blank. So come back with the big gouge, make sure everything clears. Cool. Turn the speed down, turn it on, come up to speed. Actually, since this piece is so big, I think I'll have better success if I take more material out of it and just do the bottom first, the outside of the bowl first, and then I'll come back and do the coring. Actually, change my mind again. Gonna go with plan A. Mostly because it is pine, I'd be worried about the additional torque on the finish tenon. This tenon I can make chunky and ugly because it just is a functional tenon. Whereas if I might want to get a little more artistic, it might end up being that the tenon or mortise is a little thinner, which would not be good for when I do the coring, which can put more torque on things. Right. Putting a nice tenon on this so it'll be easier to get a hold of later. Should be fine for my 5-inch jaws. Just giving enough of a relief. 1 more. Should be good. 1 more. Why not? Okay. Hopefully I have some clearance here. Yep, just enough. Give the blank a little bit of a quick retighten. Last thing we need is that coming off when I've got cameras and stuff around. Alright. Alright, got the coring system back on. Just gonna take a measurement of how deep I want it to go and then kind of line up the base here with where I want the gouge to fall, so that'll be the distance I want. And then I can actually scooch it over a little bit. That should be good. Leaves me plenty to play with. And since this is pine, I'm not going to worry about getting the support arm in there. It should cut relatively easily. Just tighten up. Make sure everything's clearing. All right, turn the speed all the way down. And get up to, kind of shooting for like 300 or 400 RPM. I might be a little over that right now. My speed is broken. Getting close. Boom. All right, so there we go. Cleared that out. That is now we have a nice, really pretty nice pine bowl blank here. Has some bug holes in it, which could be kind of fun. Yeah, so we'll turn that later. Just put that off to the side. And all right, now for getting back to the actual turning part. Now what I need to do is put a tenon on here to get this reversed so I can do the outside shape of the bowl. I'm just taking a look at the size of my tenon. Of course, I could get some calipers and actually have a proper measurement for it, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Usually don't have a problem 95% of the time. Especially if I can just look right at where the tenon is. That might have started a little too big there, but that's easily fixed. Just flatten off. And I'll do one more. So if I have to move it to the one that's further down, it shouldn't be a problem. Oops. All right. Let's take it off. I'm actually going to use this spot here where it broke out as a spot to have access to the chuck. I guess it's the chuck key. Alright. Doing an expansion there. Alright. And here we go. Alright, just bring it up to speed. Slight vibration, but nothing crazy. Just gonna do some light cuts to start.
Ja, das ist nicht korrekt.
Right now, of course, I'm just taking the corner off just to get a better bowl shape. Want to be mindful of the internal curvature here. Have plenty of room to work with. My coring device does give me a very even hemisphere, so it's easy enough to reference or hold the mental image of. All right. I'm liking this arc where it is right now. Here, actually, this might be a better view even. So I like the way the arc is coming here. I gotta meet it all the way up at the top here. It's not quite, it's gonna get more vertical, so I'm gonna have to start it back here more and then arc it around. Hopefully the tripod's not in the way. Let's see. Starting back here to give myself enough clearance to get the angle that I want to start with, so that the bowl has a nice arc throughout the whole place. All right. So there, we're getting an arc going. Gonna need to start sweeping a little earlier to catch that, get the arc to flow smoothly to the top. This is where the worst tear out's gonna be. I can see I'm already getting some pretty bad tear out here. This gouge is also probably starting to dull a little bit, especially for how sharp I need to be to cut through pine. But I have two more 40/40 gouges ready to go. Like I said before, this one is just more of my roughing gouge, bowl roughing gouge. And I'm not too concerned yet, but I also don't want to be ripping out huge chunks of grain that even after my finishing cuts I'll be dealing with. Yeah, this will be the last cut I do with this gouge on this wing. Oh. Wait. All right. So I'm liking the arc I've got going on. Still not quite making it to the top. I'll have to start a little further back, but it's cutting pretty good. Definitely a little torn out, and of course all the bug holes. So, I mean, ultimately it's going to be a pretty rustic bowl anyway. You know, kind of like a fruit bowl or something like that. So not going to get it perfect. This isn't a piece of wood that's worth trying to get perfect. So I'll just do the cleanest cuts I can with the gouge, and then see what I'm able to sink. Oop. Switch my grip leg. I'm probably blocking the camera angles. Alright, well, I'm smooth up to here. I could simply just cut this back, cut this top portion down. Considering there's a giant crack on this side and a giant missing gap on this side, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Alright. Everything else looks decent. A little bit of torn grain, a little bit of tool ridges. But I might do a really fine pass with a negative rake scraper to try to just clean that up slightly, and then I'm just gonna put a foot on there, and then we will do the inside. But first is that negative rake. Let's see, what's the burr feeling like on there? Pretty good burr actually already, so definitely gonna need a good one for doing this pine. Really gonna need to go very gently. So the worst, I mostly just want to take the tool marks out. Let's see, a little bit below center, move it up slightly, get my light over. All right. This might be honestly breaking more grains than sanding back ridges. Punky pine definitely has its unique set of problems to deal with. Alright, let's see how we're looking. Not bad actually. Taking it down some. I wouldn't necessarily say it's tearing out any more grain. What's my burr doing? Alright, gonna keep going. Gonna get. This is where most of the tool marks were. Oop. Oop. That was a little heavier than I wanted. Should have adjusted the tool rest to be more perpendicular. Give me better support for that scrape. Well, that's looking great on this side. I just have this one big. All right, so I have a few baby ridges to deal with. And honestly, the sanding really shouldn't be that bad either. Just gonna put a mark in it so I know where to sand to. But in case I sand down this top ridge, just know where I'm gonna cut it later. And then I just need to do a little bit of sanding. Let's see. Normally for a ridge that size, I could just take it out with some 180. Oh, actually, what am I doing? Letting the video distract me. I haven't even made a foot yet. So let's do that first, and then I'll sand the whole bottom at once. Just making sure my gouge doesn't hit my tripod. Let's see. Put that flat. Hook it in. 5/8. Put it in there. Just getting all this material removed. Good. I'm gonna set kind of the distance to the bottom of my little decoration here. cut pretty clean. Alright, and then I'm actually putting it in reverse. And I'm doing a push cut across the front. Give that a little arc, and then gonna sneak up on putting a nice little corner in here. Probably dulled my gouge a great deal with that, but here we are. Alright. It's a nice crisp area for the tenon. And then I'll reinforce this little decorative groove. Alright, looks pretty good. Just make sure I'm clearing at the bottom there. Yep. Alright, and I'll start with some 120. Like I said, probably wouldn't be necessary on anything else, on a more normal piece of wood, but since this is pine, it is old, it is funky, I'm probably going to have to really remove some stuff. So let's go to the sander, get some 120 out. I know it's going to gum, so I'm just going to grab 2 sheets to begin with, because this pine we get here in Florida is full of sap. And it really clogs paper quickly. Alright, I got the main ridge out, which was my main concern. Alright, just using the right wing of the sander, the right side, I guess right hemisphere, I don't know, I guess it wouldn't be a hemisphere. Right side of the circle of the sanding pad when it's going in reverse from where I'm standing, and then putting it back to forward and using the other side of the sandpaper. Get a little sand across the bottom there. Clean all that up. Yeah, that's pretty much spent already. But hopefully you can see. Just kind of gets gummed with stuff there, and then that's why I got the other 120. I'm just making sure to stay out of the actual recess here, because I don't want the unevenness of the sandpaper to alter the evenness of the register for when I reverse this and put it on the chuck. Alright, that direction, and I'll go back once more to, actually this is looking really good for 120. Real smooth and even. I mean, the actual good surfaces. Some tear out here, but there's no way I can avoid that right now without doing some kind of stabilizer, which I'm not planning to do for this piece. It's just going to be more of either a decorative centerpiece or a fruit bowl. Alright. And I'll just do some 180 and 240 just to make it nice and smooth in the hand. Should just be a minute or two. Right. Recording. across the bottom there. And one more. Oh, just heard some weird cracking noise coming out of it. Wonder what that was about. What was that? Huh. Oh, this seems way more pronounced now. I split over on this side. Alright, well, good thing we planned to cut it off anyway. Alright. We'll swap this out. This down for a sec. Gonna go with an expansion with these 5-inch jaws. Into the recess we put on there a second ago. Alright, just blowing out the mortise so we get a clear register again. Ooh, I might have sized this a touch big. That's okay, I have bigger jaws, but I'll have to swap them on. Let's see. We're going to be right at the edge here, but still a super solid hold. We're good. Get it really locked in. Sweet. Alright, and we're back. The camera ran out of battery for a second there, so I had to recharge it. Alright, so we're back, getting ready to do the inside of the bowl here. Just going to be cutting this down to this line that I made earlier. I could probably use the big gouge, preserve the finer ones for the finer cuts. We're just hogging off material right now anyway. Precision isn't going to be too important. Oh, since I just took that break, I just want to re-tighten the chuck. Alright, cool. Still good. Alright, here we go. Come up to speed a little fast, but that'll be okay. Oh, no, never mind. This is super dull. Alright, back to the gouge. Sadly here I'm losing a lot of potential size from what I was hoping the bowl could be, but I think it was just getting too funky with all the splits and cracks. I don't really mind when the pith falls out of a piece of pine like that. I think it's kind of a cool feature. I've had I've made that, you know, finished pieces with that design element in them before, and people found it interesting. Alright, sorry about that. Just had to charge the battery again, actually. So we are back to finishing this piece up. Alright, just retighten the chuck because it's been a few minutes. And turn the speed way down and then bring it back up to speed again. Alright, almost through this top ridge section. Alright, let's take a look at this rim. I might need to cut it down just a bit more, potentially to get past any cracks. These ones run kind of deep actually, so I won't get past them. There's a little bit of a split right there, so I'd like to get past that, and maybe this will look a little funky on a rim. There's going to be funky bits, so I'll just worry about getting past this little divot, and then I'll go from there. That'll be the top of the bowl. Just want to make sure I got deep enough there. Just right at it. All right. It's getting close to being time to switch gouges, although, actually, just kidding, doing the inside of the bowl, I'll be using the other wing. This will be a lot sharper. Alright, now we will do the inside. Just gonna adjust the tool rest. Pretty thick still, probably about 2 inches, 1.5, 2 inches deep at the base. Good to be mindful of regardless though. Trying to get out of the way of the wood chips, like I said earlier. Don't love them sticking to my, well, anything really. They're kind of a pain in my beard, literally. All that resin stuff to get out of my hair. But that's just a matter of washing. Sometimes the face shield, I can really only get so clean after it gets all sappy. As well, I believe there's some kind of coating on it that does get worn off if I wash it enough. So I try to limit that. Easy enough to replace, but still. Alright, getting pretty good cuts out of the middle here. Just want to take a look at it. Yeah, super clean, right, at least at this thickness. Getting very little torn grain. I mean, a little bit here, but that honestly will sand right out. It's also not feeling overly sappy. Taking the breaks to charge the camera battery actually probably let the sap dry a little bit, which is working in my favor. Cut's getting a little heavy here. Slow it down a little bit. It's also not the most favorable angle for a push cut, but I'm also trying to clear it into this center part. Alright, just take another look real quick. You have a big knot here, which runs all the way through. I can see it on the outside. Of another branch and another branch. All in all, it's still cutting pretty clean. Just have a few more to go. heavy a cut. Just removing material. I want to start thinking about exactly how much thickness I have to play with at the bottom there. Alright. Yeah, so it looks like it's about 1.5 inches, maybe 1.25 inches. I don't think I'm going to go super thin with this bowl anyway. Actually, maybe about 1/2 inch might be nice for this bowl with all of its funkiness. I sort of believe some of the, well, might be hard to hear me. But I was just going to say, I think a lot of the interest in wood turning in particular is kind of the balance between the rawness of nature and the refinement and intention of the turner. So I think going relatively thin would do a good job of adding a more refined element, more precise, more refined element to just how funky this bowl will be with all of its splits and cracks and wormholes. But I think it'll make a good centerpiece or fruit bowl. Should have a lot of visual intrigue due to those qualities. But I am going to be leaving the center a little long to get a little extra support. I need to go a little deeper before I curve out on these. I'm also close to finished desired thickness. Yeah, oh yeah, it's feeling a little brittle now. So maybe I won't be able to go 1/2 inch as a matter of fact. So I'm going to do this final cut in 2 cuts so that I have a little bit more support material here so it doesn't just break on me. I'm also going to switch off to a fresh gouge. Give me the best shot of a clean cut here and should give me the least resistance. Alright, this is the side that's really tearing out. Looks like it's about 1/8 deep, so I want to take at least 1/8 off. Alright. So set it for about 1/4. Whoops. Caught that wing. Fortunately, I was okay. Didn't break the bowl. And the grain is cut super smooth. Very small bits of tear out there. Starting to get a little narrow toward the bottom here. I'm really going to have to sweep out from there, but doing fine. Oh, gotta have a ridge here, but yeah, it's a little thin at the bottom of the ridge and then goes back to thick right away, so I should be okay. Just have to take a very delicate cut, rub the bevel, find the cut. Yep. Yeah, that inside wing was really starting to dig into end grain there. I was feeling a lot of chipping out. It's probably a little thinner down here than at the rim. I can live with it. It's relatively even. It's kind of an even taper to get to that point. And it is the difference of about an eighth, so I can live with that. And then I'm just going to take out the bottom material, bottom bowl gouge. Normally I'd be wanting to crank the speed here. I'm a little reluctant due to the splits here. I don't want the centrifugal force to basically just pull the wings off the bowl, or not the wings, the walls of the bowl apart. So just got to be a little more patient. Oh, never mind. I think I could do a little bit faster at least. Should be just fine. There we go. Alright. There we go. That's a lot nicer. Whoop. Piece of pine got stuck on the edge. I don't necessarily have to be super smooth and light. I've got like an inch of material I'm about to remove here, so I'm not going to get tear out an inch deep. But I suppose it's good practice for the final couple cuts. Let me see how it's looking. Yeah, these crumbly bits, this has actually been eaten through by bugs. These are wormholes, so there's no level of sharpness or clean cutting that's going to get that to be a smooth grain. Everything else looks pretty good though. Just going smooth and steady. Letting the gouge do the work. Not putting much pressure on, just front hand is holding the gouge down, back hand is driving it. Let's see how we're doing. Looks decent. Not too much to think about here. Just got to keep making some more good cuts. Before I really get to the last few cuts, I'm just going to do a depth check again, check the bottom thickness, And we're at about 3/4. So it's about right. I want to have another quarter or so come out of there. I'm going to sharpen super quick. Swing around, give you a view. I don't even really need the light for this. It's such an easy sharpen. Looks good. That's all we need. Time to do some finish cuts. Alright, so I just got to keep that curve going. And I want to take off less than 1/2 inch by the time I hit the bottom. Just going to finish this part of the curve and then worry about the center. To really get around wide. Oh. Oh. There we go. Oh, pretty close. Yeah, I'm good. I just need to really get the swing of the gouge in there. Bottom's going to end up being a touch thinner than the walls. My push cut got a little low that for me to swing the bottom bowl gouge through. I had to take the depth down a little bit more than I wanted to, but it'll be fine. It'll just be a little more flat bottom in the bottom of the bowl as opposed to having the arc be a little more continuous throughout. Actually, now that I think about it, if it's intended as more of a centerpiece or even a fruit bowl, that's actually probably a little bit better of a design. Alright, the battery went out again, had to charge it quickly again. So I just got these 2 last cuts to do. I'd like to take another cut out of the bottom here. The grain got a little rough, but I'm feeling like it's probably about as thin as I want to get. Yeah, right now it's at about even with the wall thickness, which is nice. And honestly, given that it is pine, I'm going to use that to my advantage and just try to sand some of that funkiness out. So I'm going to do what I did for the outside, start with 2 rounds of 120 and go from there. Let me get the right angle on it. Looks pretty good. Using the foam pad, backer pad I have here to absorb the holes and voids from the bugs. Let's see how we're looking. Bottom is perfectly nice and smooth. A little bit of tool marks in here, but I think I'm just gonna have to get those out. Sanding by hand, actually. Or, at least I mean when the lathe isn't running. Oh yeah, this is coming right out. Ideally, I'd have it, you know, do this on the lathe, make sure it's staying perfectly concentric, but it's just too funky with all the voids that I have in here. Still a cool piece of wood, fun little project, kind of challenging actually, but that's about it. Just need to do the final sanding here. I think my battery's about to run out. Maybe I'll do a final separate clip when the bowl's all finished so you can see that. Right. And there we go. Big old, probably 16-inch yellow, southern yellow pine bowl, full of bug holes and funkiness, but still should be a fun little centerpiece for someone. Alright, so it's a couple days later now. I put some finish on it and that has finished curing, and so I just wanted to show you what the finished product looked like. Definitely a fun, funky piece, real cool with the bug holes, unusual, a lot of character, and very unique. So thanks for watching, really appreciate it. If you've made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, bye.